It's always a kick, a counter, and then only the game opens up. I kick, I prepare for a response. He gives the first response, he gives the second response. In order to not be hit, what I have to do is a really big lean back. I counter, he catches the kick. Now if he was to punch a straight cross down the line now, I would have been exposed, but he didn't. Alright guys, so today we're in for an absolute banger. Because I picked out a clip from the very first time that I trained with Zach the Slayer. Zach used to be an executive at one of the big four. But even more importantly, this guy is a world champion fighter. He actually won his world champion title while competing in Muay Thai. And in this occasion, we're right next to a castle, somewhere deep in a German forest. Because we were hosting a workshop for consulting leaders from all across Europe in preparation of them becoming partners at their companies. And of course, you know me, I've vlogged the whole experience. So if you want to check out why so many successful businessmen fly out to Germany just to hit pads with us, the video has been on my channel since last week and there you can find it. Now we arrived to the location a bit early and me and Zach had worked together once before, but we hadn't properly trained together yet. So while we waited for participants to arrive, we decided to have a little play on the pads and see how good my Muay Thai really is. So let's check out together how that went. So we start off the round with a little high five. I started to incorporate more boxing into my Muay Thai, yeah? Usually what you're taught in Muay Thai is to not duck, because as soon as you duck, you run the danger of ducking into a knee or some weapon coming from below. That's not a part of boxing, yeah? So in boxing, that danger is removed. In Muay Thai, you have it, and that's why in Muay Thai, people don't like to see fighters ducking. But I wanted to incorporate more boxing, that's why you can see me duck here. I punched across, and if there was a return that I'm expecting, I'm ducking and rolling below it. Now what happens next is Zach sees I'm reacting to even non-existing strikes, yeah? I'm preparing for a counter. So then he starts countering. So I actually have an incentive to really move. You see, jab cross, and then he punches me back and I move out of the way. But now we're building on it, right? Because we always start slow and then stack the sequences. So now after he counters, he keeps holding the pad for me so I can strike again, yeah? And here you can see he caught me a little off guard, but I managed to escape just in time because he noticed I was getting lazy with my right hand, yeah? And what happened exactly is that I threw my 1-2, he threw the counter, I blocked it, yeah? He held the pad for me and I was charged on my hook. So even if he didn't hold the pad for the hook, I threw it and then came in with a cross. But look at me here. I'm striking with the cross, but I'm ending very low and exposed, yeah? And Zach saw that before. So what he does in the next one is he gives me the counter, he lets me strike, but I'm in the same position again, right? Now, if I didn't move, he would catch me on the chin. But he didn't commit fully, so I'm able to move out and react just in time. And what happens then is, look. I'm laughing because I knew, whoa, that was close. He's laughing because he knew I could have got you if I wanted to. And then we move on. And he says that lazy hand, yeah? And then you can see me expect him to punch again and take a step out of the zone, yeah, out of the pocket. So even if he was to throw a punch, I wouldn't be in range for him. At this point, he knew he got me reacting to his striking style already, yeah? And again, see me after the cross, I'm immediately shelling up in case he was to throw something again. Okay, so we're staying with the jab cross, and now he's asking me to build more. Now we're doing elbows. You always try to cross the elbow, yeah? If the pad is held straight, you would throw a side elbow. If the pad is held to the side, you would throw an up or straight elbow. I'm matching the pad for an X to create an X. Here, this is the exact motion that I was trying to drill at this point, yeah? So you can see me with the jab cross. And then afterwards, look at my face. It does this motion. It's really a roll. So you go out, you go low, and if he was to throw something hook-ish at my head, I would be under the punch. But then I'm coming up again. I noticed no strike was thrown, so then I can get back into my attacks, yeah? And you see me adding the cross at the end and adding the elbow. and the knee. So now we're in the full sequence. Now we're really stacking strikes. And what we do here is we get into the kicks. The kicks is probably the most powerful strike that you can throw in Muay Thai. And this is a kind of unstable ground, letting me get a feel for the ground, if it's shaky or not, if it's slippery or not. You can see, again, this is, I think this is very nice technique. Even if I'm not throwing the strike very strong, yeah, it's just about displaying balance and displaying control, yeah? Because what I'm doing is I step out, I swing my arm, I have one arm across my face, I have the other arm down. So I'm really creating that whip motion. And I get onto my tiptoes, I extend my standing leg, I extend my kicking leg. All very balanced. My hands are up, so if I was to be attacked, I could still kind of block with my hands, and then I get back down onto my stance. And here what Zach does is he asks me to kick a little lower. So let's slow it down again for a second so you can see the difference in the kicks, yeah? So this is the kick before. And if we go frame by frame, you can see me targeting the pad kind of in the middle-ish, where the white turns into blue, yeah? What he wants is to hit it on the lower end. So it's really basically in a line with his arms, yeah? So here he says that's where you take them down. And we're going to have a little discussion about this later on. Maybe it's even now already, because I was curious about this. Now, hear what he says, listen to it. So he says my kicks are aiming quite high at like almost rib cage level, yeah? But he says the sweet spot is right below that one, and I should aim for this spot. And I'm confused because the way I got taught is that if you hit the ribs are very exposed, yeah? There's not too much layers of tissue or fat above the ribs and in between the skin. So basically, if you hit the ribs from the outside, there's no protection. That's what I was thinking. Okay, and here the correction that he gives me is not the outside that you're aiming for, yeah? The bone is very much on the outside of the body. But what you're aiming for with his style of kicking is to really damage the organs, to go to internal parts that make it unable for you to stand strong afterwards. He says then if you kick at the organs, you don't have to care about if there's something above it or not. See, this is the motion that he uses to show me. If you kick there, people will fold. And he shows me the area I was kicking to, and he says you can take kicks there all night long. Obviously, it's an exaggeration, yeah? If you never check the kicks and you always take them to the body, it's a matter of time how many kicks you take until the ribs break. But he says you can't take a kick to the part that he's aiming for. If it's not blocked, then you're done immediately. And here you can see it really. This is a very nice visual example of what he just said, yeah? Because now I'm implementing it, now I'm striking a little deeper. You can see me more towards the white part of the pad, yeah? Not the blue part. And what happens right afterwards, see? Did you catch it? What happened afterwards is the impact was so strong that he was taken aback, right? He needed to take a step back to balance himself again. So the kick really threw him off balance. See again? Okay, enough kicking. So we're back to the combination from earlier. This is the combination that we're going to do with the people later. So normally what you try to do, you don't want to have the pad holder call out the shots the whole time, because it takes away from developing the ability to read the situation, right? Because in a fight, you won't have the opponent calling out what gaps they have in their guard, where you should kick or punch. So what you want to do in pad holding is you want to simulate the fight as good as you can, and you do that by not vocalizing the shots. You let the person who's striking search for the gaps, search for what you want them to throw. How that's usually done is by reading the range. So if we're standing away far from each other, because technically if I hold the pad like this It could be a side elbow, it could be a cross, right? You really have to read that by noticing how far away are you from the pad. If you're in close, you will always throw an elbow. If you're further away and your elbow couldn't reach it, then you're going in for a cross. And what happened earlier is that he held the pad for a cross and I was kind of far away, and instead of striking a cross like I should have done, I jumped in for an elbow. I bridged the distance by jumping. And that's why he vocalized the combination afterwards, so we don't have the little confusion. And see, this is exactly what I meant with we're building the sequences. You see me in my stance and he's asking me to throw a cross. And at this point, I've thrown 2 or 3 crosses back to back. And then he's asking me to throw an uppercut, yeah? Because you see the pad being held down. I'm not going to punch into a pad that faces the floor with a cross. I need to do something from below, yeah? And this is what I said by you kind of have to read the targets. And then I throw the uppercut. And this is a sequence established now. So we have the cross and the uppercut. So what you can expect next is a cross and a uppercut plus something new. So cross, uppercut, something new now, the cross again. So it's a cross, uppercut, cross. Again, something new. Cross, uppercut, cross, established. Now afterwards, what you always want to do is ideally, you will end the combination with a kick. Because in Muay Thai, the kick scores more than the punch. So what you do is you start a combination with the hands, you throw a few good strikes, and if you want to top off your score, because at the end, if you're not knocking out your opponent after the round, it's about who scored more, yeah? So you give your punches, and then at the end, you land a big score by throwing the kick. Listen to what Zach does after I hit the strike. Ooh-wee. Listen, now, did you catch the difference between the last 2 kicks? So first this one, look at it very closely and see if you can tell on your own, and afterwards I'm going to explain what was the difference. So here I'm in my stance. And now I throw the kick. Now look at the next one. Okay, so why he said interesting is because I didn't switch kick. A switch kick is where you change your stance by jumping, yeah? I took a very slight step with my right foot. You can see it over here. This is just a tiny step. Because what happens with a switch kick, where you change your feet, your stance, by doing this, is it kind of gives, if you're not quick to do it, it tells the person, okay, a switch kick is going to come now. Now I'm going to throw a strong left kick, yeah? Because this is a preparation motion where you create space for your striking leg in order to get more whip into it. But the longer it takes, the more it gives away what you're going to do. And in order to bypass that, I'm not skipping like this. I'm just taking a slight step forward right after a punch. If the punch was to land, the opponent is blinded for a second and they can't really look at your feet for this second. So you take a slight step right after the punch in order to kind of disguise the switch. And now I still have room for my lead leg to be thrown very strong, yeah? It's not as strong, obviously. There's a trade-off between speed and power, but it's fast enough to land and it's still strong enough to damage. Now let's take a look at the switch kick again, so you can compare. See, this is the switching motion. Look at my feet. I jump and I switch. Now you can make that switch, of course, you can make it faster if you're not jumping upwards. Because basically all you need to do, and that's a mistake beginners do very often, is they jump up and switch mid-air. Technically, you don't even need to jump. All you need is to switch the stance. So you can make it quicker by not jumping up, and you can also make it quicker by not having such a huge gap in between your feet. But we're gonna discuss this maybe later as well, because again, a trade-off. If you have the feet very narrow, there's less room for the leg to create power, yeah? If you want to land a harder strike, then you'll have to create a wider switch. But in this case, I prefer the short option. And he likes the version. It's not necessarily that he only likes this kick. What's really nice is to have both in your arsenal, right? And to not do the same motion the whole time. Because when you know the same motion precedes the same kick all the time, then you get readable. And see, afterwards, I didn't change back into my right-handed stance, yeah? I stayed in the left one. Because after you land the left kick, what you always do is you stand in a southpaw stance, yeah? So look, I'm kicking with my left, and I'm retracting my left even behind my right leg. So right now I'm standing not like I always stand in the beginning, but I stand as if I was left-handed, as if my strong strikes came from the left side. And you do that because after a kick, you're quite close, or mid-kick even. You're very close to the person, and the opponent is technically in punching range, so they could strike back if they wanted to. While kicking, you have your arms up to be prepared for that, and after kicking right away, you take a step back to be outside of the punching range. And now I stay here in case he was to show me another target, but then he shows me the cross again. So I know, okay, sequence over, I reset. But he says next time you can even throw a second kick. So a combination, I have the switch kick, I stand back in my lefty stance, and I give a second kick. And did you see how much more power that had? Because I had a wider stance. So here I have my switch kick, very narrow stance. It's a lighter but quicker kick. Now I land back, I create distance. And this one has way more power afterwards. Saw the little hesitation as well? That's again what I said by building sequences. The last time I've already kicked twice, back to back, yeah? So this time, after in between my kicks, I want to throw in something else to throw off my opponent. I need to add a little shake, a little feint, a little hesitation, a little something that differs the timing from the first time to the second time. So first kick. I'm in kicking range again, but I'm not kicking straight away. I have my little fake. I get closer, and I deliver the strong kick. Even a slight more detail, you can see me afterwards because I'm still in lefty stance, yeah? I don't want to change the stance without any motion to throw off my opponent, because then they could just move in and start punching. So what I'm doing is after I throw the kick and before I switch the stance, I have a little dip where I act as if I was to come forward, but I'm actually just loading my front leg to push off it and get back into my stance. And now right into the next combination. And what you see here is I prepared for blocks, yeah? We're not wearing shin pads at this point, so we're not throwing, as a pad holder, Saka's not throwing too many kicks back. But normally, Muay Thai is, a large part of Muay Thai is a kicking game, kicking exchanges, yeah? So I kick, and you immediately try to kick me back. Because if you didn't do that, then I outscored you, right? We earlier said the kick score high. So if someone landed a kick, the best thing you could do is throw your kick straight away. And if Sak now was to throw a kick in response to me landing my kick, I would have been prepared for that. You saw me shift my weight back. I'm shifting it all onto one leg. So if he was to throw a kick, I have my right leg up and I could check the kick. But there's no kick. So now look at my footwork here. I place the leg, my right leg behind me. I push off onto my front leg and I transfer my body into a strong cross. Let's see it in motion once more. So kick, shift, and then the strong punch. Okay, catch that part? So what we did here was we were doing punching combinations, yeah, and we were alternating between the ones that we did earlier. a 1-2 cross, cross, uppercut, cross. And at some point, I got a hang of the motions, so I'm signaling to him, we can stack the next step. So I'm showing him after the last punch, I could add the kick now. See this part? I land up my cross, and I'm flowing right into a weight shift that shows I could take a step with my right leg below here and lift my left leg up now. And what he says is, okay, let's do that one. So next time, I'm doing the punching combination and I kick at the end. And just like earlier, after the left kick, retract it, have another left kick. So we're mixing combinations now. Okay, and this is how you notice, okay, it's getting towards the end of the round, because now he's picking up the pace. Now he's asking me for strong strikes, yeah? Strong kick, strong hook, strong cross. And now we're adding pace in between the punches. And every breath has gotten deeper, because listen to it first. It's going to be a strong breath for the kick, and then it's going to be quicker exhales for the punching. It's like, And this is the most important thing that is very counterintuitive to people who are new to the sport. Out-breathing your opponent is a real thing. If you're able to stay relaxed and keep breathing while you're throwing punches, and also very important, while punches get thrown at you, then you have such a good chance of later down the line, if you're able to stay in the fight, have an easier fight than your opponent. Because you're not going over brute force. You're staying relaxed, you're staying composed, and you're not clenching. What clenching does, if you were to press your muscles the whole time, yeah, it takes away so much energy. And if you're relaxed, it's just like basically you're just standing in front of someone, yeah? As long as you don't clench up, it's just a face-off, right? Yes, punches get thrown in between, but from a breathing perspective, you're basically standing, yeah? As long as you're not striking. And once you strike, that's when you have to sync your breathing with the strikes. Because if you throw a strong strike with a shallow breath and you don't breathe, basically like like in the gym, when you do bench press and you don't breathe, this is what you want to avoid. And this is why lifters have such a hard time fighting and they gas out so fast. Because the breathing is counterintuitive. What you have to do is with a strong strike, have a strong exhale. And when you even receive impact, the bracing happens. Let's say somebody was to throw a kick at your belly. The bracing happens with your abs by exhaling, right? If you have a strong exhale, the moment of the impact is going to be so much less damage being done to you than if you were to not have your breathing under control. And that's why unexpected strikes, they hurt so much, because you cannot brace. Your breathing is off and you get caught off guard, and that's when it really hurts. That's when body shots, they're terrible because they suck the whole air out of your lungs. And not just me, even listen to sag breathing. We're breathing in exact sync every time a strike lands. You hear him, sha, nah, ah. Because the noises, yes, they sound funny, but the noises, they have a function. If you make a noise, you're instantly exhaling at the same time. You can't make a noise without the exhale. So they really help you sync. He was putting a little pressure on me at the very end, yeah? And obviously, this is the first time that we've trained properly together, so I wanted to leave a good impression. And he asked me afterwards, okay, good round, and he kind of walks off, but I still want to show, if you wanted to go, I could keep going now, even despite being the last part being a bit more intense, yeah? So I have my hands up, I'm ready in case he was to turn around, or I keep asking for more strikes, I'm set to go. And he says, bro, you can really relax, it's okay. And I'm still hesitant, I'm still there with my hands up. And he's like, okay, calm down, let's break now. Pause, take a deep breath. And he says, I know you could keep going, but let's take a breath for now. Short break, right? Like one, two inhales, and then he's like, okay, how are we doing? Should we keep going? I'm like, okay. We're gonna have a discussion about the impact point with the wrist and the knuckles and the pads. But I think from an outside perspective, this looks like a clean, powerful uppercut to me because I'm really rolling the shoulder down, and at the end I'm bringing it up. So if you were to check the motion, it lands nice. It's easier for me to throw it with the fist straight than rotated. An extension of your forearm and your elbow. See the change that he made here in my form? The first one that I showed him, my elbow wasn't aligned with the strike. I'm punching up, but my elbow is not really much below my wrist. So the correction that he does is to bring the elbow downwards and step a little closer. So this should be better, right? I could even punch a little more, not towards the sky, but towards his face, because the angle is slightly off. I'm just scratching off the pad. But at this point, I'm not doing it for perfect execution. I'm just trying to get a hang of the motion. This was a nice surprise after this long discussion about the uppercuts, because we were stacking a new sequence, yeah, and you saw me earlier doing a uppercut, a hook, and a cross afterwards. I'll replay it here. So we have these 3 punches established in the first sequence, and he says, hit the uppercut however you like, and I do that, but at the very end of the combination, we are already very close, yeah. And look here, if you can see it, I turned the cross into an elbow, which was very sharp and very snappy. And obviously it wasn't expected, so that's where the reaction comes from. Wait, you can see him smile right away. And that's what I said earlier, with you have to gauge the distance. If the pad is shown for a cross, but you're in range for an elbow, I would always go for the elbow. And here I ask him to counter more often, so I don't get used to just throwing attacks. I want to be in the state of expecting returns and having to evade them or block them. Because a lot of traditional Muay Thai styles are kind of stand and bang-ish, yeah? There's a certain type of fighter that's built around evading strikes, but it's not too common. I don't like the stand and bang too much, because especially if you're training in between disciplines, if Muay Thai is not the only sport that you're doing, then movement is going to be key, yeah? And MMA and boxing, movement is very important. So it's always nice to broaden your horizon, and then even if you were to only focus on Muay Thai, have it in your arsenal, have the tools in your arsenal to use them if you ever wanted to use them in a Muay Thai fight. Movement is never going to hurt you. Unless, there's the big unless that I said earlier, unless you're ducking. See, and he's reaching right away. Afterwards, he gives me the combination, he's reaching for my chin, and I just move out of the way and throw my counter again. And see, this is what we do whenever we don't wear pads. We do the leg kicks, but we do it with the softer part of the leg. So he wouldn't go shin to shin on me. He would throw it with his calf or with his sole of the foot. And here I'm expecting a punch return, right? But he didn't throw a kick yet. So he was seeing if I could check it in time. If it was a calf kick, I would have probably still checked it. But it was a leg kick. So I'm just a tiny bit late. He's smiling now because I knew, okay, we're doing this now? Okay, I'm prepared for it now. And you can see me expect the same leg kick afterwards. So once I throw my cross, I'm jumping back with my leg lifted up to check in time. See the difference of the 2 kicks from earlier over here? This is the lower kick that he likes. And look at the one that I like to throw. It's a little more upwards. See now, on the pads, we're hitting almost the triangles, right? And with the second one, we're hitting right below. We're hitting the points on the very lower part of the pad. And he said, I can feel it hits harder as well. And see, this is the style of Muay Thai that I like. This is the one that I said earlier. It's a bit, it's not the most common in Muay Thai. So I throw my kick, Sag throws a return. I'm already prepared for the return. You can see my footwork over here again. Yeah, after I land, I'm immediately sliding my lead leg back and I'm lifting my rear leg. So I'm prepared to counter kicks. What I do with my arms over here is I stop him from moving forwards. I control with my palm open with his left arm right now. So this is my unknown target yet. I have to react to see how it moves. And it doesn't reach me because I took that little shift backwards. It doesn't reach me. I'm able to lean out of the way. But he comes over my blocking arm with his power hand now, yeah? And in order to not be hit, what I have to do is a really big lean back. See how much I'm leaning back to move out of the range. And then afterwards, okay, because I evaded the counter, that's nice, you didn't take any damage, but you still need to exploit the opportunity as much as possible, right? So afterwards, I'm switching really quick, because like I said earlier, the shorter you switch, the quicker the kick. And I'm showing him, okay, I could kick now, and he manages to move the pads to my kick just in time. Now this is where fighting really gets like a play of chess, yeah? Because at high level fights, if you were to example, look at one of my favorite fights, is Superbon versus Tavanchai, the first one. It's such a high level chess of fighting because barely ever you expect to land in the first, your strong strike in the first exchange. It's always a kick, a counter, and then only the game opens up. That's when the unexpected parts happen. Because the first two exchanges, you already expect them to be countered and counter the counter. I kick. I prepare for a response. He gives the first response. He gives the second response. I move out of the way. I counter. He catches the kick. Now, if he was to punch a straight cross down the line now, I would have been exposed because I wasn't expecting so many levels of exchanges to occur in that situation, but he didn't. So I'm retracting into my stance, yeah? And afterwards, I'm stepping forward for another attack because he didn't advance. And you can see me here. Now we're starting to drill another defense. I'm kicking. He's jabbing, trying to act as if he was giving me a response. And what I do with his jab is I expect it. I parry it out of the way. See over here? I parry it to the side. So his arm gets thrown down. And afterwards, I'm switching and preparing my response. It was just a nice counter, and now we say we do it more often. And once it's clear for both of the fighters what's going to happen in terms of what sequence, then you do it faster and stronger and really drill it as if it was a fighting situation. And you can see this is a very smooth counter, right? And also the intensity has increased because I'm 2 straight punches, strong kick afterwards. He steps in. I do a very slight tap of the arm and immediately go for the response. Because the moment the arm of your opponent, the moment you parry it and throw it down, you have to find a balance between not reaching for their arm and still giving it a good push. Because this, when your arm is just thrown down, you're off guard for a second. And if you're able to throw a kick straight afterwards, there's a high chance it's going to land. Nice cross. He's giving me feedback on the cross because I didn't leave it hanging so much, yeah? I was able to generate good force on it without staying exposed afterwards. Also, not too much of a telegraph, right? In slow motion, you could maybe pick up, but in fast and in real time, it's pretty straight, right? It's a good whip. Again, a game of counters, right? Just like I said before. But the counters this time were different. So I throw the cross. He wants to counter with a fast response, right? Like I said earlier, he's just, look at his foot. He's just taking a little step with the right foot. Half step, just to have enough room for the lead leg to create some force. But now look at me responding to it. After my cross, I immediately lean back. So my lead leg is basically doing a C, yeah? I'm just extending it very much, so his kick misses, and I see him exposed. So if I wanted to, I could kick his back now. As you can see, his whole body is facing this way, but he can't really block anything on his backside. So if I wanted to kick over there, there would be no pad. More punching, but I have my more punching counters, but I have my guard up. Now, if he was, instead of choosing a cross, to throw an elbow, then it would have been hard to block, yeah? Because if I have my guard like this, and he throws a straight elbow, and we have sweaty arms, even if our bones could collide, we would just slide off each other. So the chance the elbow goes through is very high. And did you catch that one? This is something that if you watched my video with Shane, with the UFC coach, you will have seen me done it a lot in this video. Let's check it out. So I give the knee, and afterwards, see the step? I'm not staying face to face. I'm taking a step to the outside. So we're not over here anymore. I'm moving away from the side, and I'm creating an angle. This motion. My arm goes out to control where he goes, so I know how his body moves. I still have my range. I feel his body. I move to the angle, and then I kick from a point where he can't really return anything, because his body is still facing away to a spot where I'm not at anymore. And obviously, this is something very, very desirable, yeah? If you're able to put yourself in a situation where you can strike and the opponent cannot return, super favorable. Catch that one? He just said good breathing, because again, listen to my breathing during the heavy punches, yeah? You can see the intention, you can see the intensity here rising again, but it's very important that as soon as the output increases, the breathing has to go along with it. So we're going 3 heavy strikes and 3 heavy exhales. And you could even argue it's one long one that has ups and downs, yeah? If you were to draw a graph, the breathing would go like these are the slow ones, and now and this is the key, this is the secret to not gassing out so fast. Okay, this now I can't tell you. I can't tell you because the footage doesn't allow me to judge it. But it looks like we could have hit each other at the very same time. It's like one of those movie scenes where you knock each other out at the same time. I'm preparing to repeat the same motion that we've drilled just before, yeah? Because he said again and again, and we've been going in this round for a few minutes already. So I'm expecting, hey, this is the end of the round, we're drilling something intense again, yeah? And you can see me here, kick, and afterwards he wants the cross. So I'm giving that. And now I'm giving it again. But remember from the very start where he said lazy hand, that I'm exposed sometimes, and I'm trying to build on it by following the cross with a strong hook. And he's trying to counter my cross by afterwards giving me a strong hook. So what happens is we end up hooking at the same time. Look. He gives the hook and I give the hook. But if I had to judge frame by frame, I would say his hook is quicker to land than mine. Because you see him already starting with the left pad while I'm still impacting the right one. So he would be quicker. But you could argue that even if I was hit, my hook would obviously keep swinging, right? And you can hear the sound. I love the sounds, man. Because again, it was unexpected. And he says, bring in the hook. Let's go with that one. So we have switch kick, cross hook. Okay, see that one again with the sequences? Now, a new sequence, but it's very common and it's super effective. So if you're learning new sequences and you don't have that one in your arsenal yet, I would highly recommend adding it to your training next time. So what we do here is a left knee, yeah? And afterwards you can see me hop, because after the knee, you're quite close. And if you want to now flow into your elbow, you have to kind of hop backwards a little bit. Look at my footwork here. The right leg that is in front during a left knee, you have to retract it to then get back into your stance and fall into your stance with a strong elbow. But because the elbow wasn't there the first time, we're repeating it a second time. Now see, he says left knee, I hop, but there was no elbow, but he saw me hopping. He know I could do it if he held it. So we repeat the strike. One more. So that was our second round. Catch that part? What he just said? Good, mate. Good engine on you. Because obviously, when it's the first time we train, you want to test where the other person is, right? Especially if you're from a background like him, where you have achieved so much in the sport and you're training with someone from the first time, you don't really know what to expect. And in terms of business partners, in terms of psychology for executives and for leadership, we already know we're on the same page, yeah? We already know there's mutual expertise in between us. So he doesn't know too much about what I'm about when it comes to Muay Thai. And me, of course, it was a bit tiring. Yeah, we haven't done too much for now, so I was still good. But I would, even if I was tired, I would never tell him at this point, yeah? And he says, how you doing? Are you feeling good? I was like, yeah, sure. When we're doing pads without a belly pad, I feel like I have to knee very much upwards, yeah? I can't really hold on to the arms. Yeah, I have no arm control, and this way you obviously lose balance, and this also takes away from how strong you feel in the output you can give. If you have more balance, you can really commit to the strike. If you have less balance points, so you cannot control the other person's body, then you need to take a little force away from your strike so you don't overly commit, right? And this is what I'm saying here. Because look at the way I have to do the knee when I have no arm control, yeah? My arms are, of course, staying close. I'm switching. And I'm giving the impact, but I cannot fully commit. And he's asking me if he's holding the pads too low, but the problem is not that the pads are being held too low. See, this is where it clicks. Because as soon as I show him the impact I can generate, if I can hold onto an arm and the head, and really move the arm out of the way and drive the knee into the pad, you can see it's a very sharp knee. And then he gets what I mean. This knee, this left knee, it works so well when you're facing a person who's not the same stance as you. If your power knee can hit a person who's the opposite stance of you, and you manage to pull out the arm to the side and then strike the sharp knee into their belly, it's a really strong knee. So that's why when you're orthodox and you're facing a southpaw, you have really much room for your right knee. You can try to find your right knee. If you're facing an orthodox striker and you're orthodox yourself, that's when you have to switch stance. That's when the switch knees become strong, or the step-in knees. Because when you step in, it creates so much room for the left knee. Because with the step, you're already loaded for a left knee. And then with the arm motion, that's when you throw them off balance. So they're already kind of falling into your knee because you're already pulling as well on the head with your left arm, yeah? And then if the arm and the knee, they meet at the same time, I'm going to show you here. Here. Picture perfect example. So he extends the arm. This is the cue. In a fight, this could be a jab. This could be someone trying to find range. So we're in an orthodox versus orthodox stance. And what happens is that I parry, I scoop the lead arm of him down, throws him off balance. I step into an open stance, so we both have our lead legs in front, and we have our rear or power legs as the back foot. I'm grabbing onto the head, and now I'm pulling the head down towards the knee, and I'm pushing my knee, I'm driving it strong and sharp up to the head. And when they both meet in the middle, the pull and the push, this is when impact is created. Flashy combination afterwards. And afterwards is the same like with the kick. If you knee with the left and your opponent isn't pushed back, yeah? If you don't have room to step forward to put this leg down because he's already somewhere over here, then you have to retract it and get back into your stance. So here what I do is I get back into my stance, but I see, okay, he's prepared for me throwing another strike. He already shows me the next target. So I'm in a lefty stance, but I can still hit with my right elbow. So I immediately, once I land my leg, check out this leg over here. I land the leg and I immediately drive into a forward elbow. Because afterwards I'm already committing so much to the elbow, I still have momentum going, so I can keep the rotation and put my left elbow above. This wasn't communicated, so I'm not committing to it. I'm just showing I could. And then he says, yeah, you can do that one. So we're going with the punches, we're going with the knee, elbow, and elbow. This is the same motion I said earlier you should add to your arsenal, is the left knee, and then the hopping. See how I now hop from close stance to further stance, so I can really put force into the elbow. So now I hop back, and as soon as I land, I'm falling with my whole body weight into that elbow. And I keep the rotation. Now look at my right foot. The right foot steps through, and my left elbow is going to come from here, right over here. But in order for that to be a smooth motion, it helps if your footwork is on point. Same combination, but see, this is it's kind of my footwork fault, but also kind of the floor because I'm wearing shoes and it's hard to rotate with the shoes on the grass. But see how I got thrown off balance here? Because I didn't step enough to the outside. Yeah, my foot over here should be much more away, so I have room to rotate for the elbow. See, it's a close step. And then I can barely rotate because I'm already at the target. And then afterwards I have to hop in order to not lose my balance. Because okay, I was just going to explain what I also said in the video, but let's listen to what I say. Left kick, people tend to cross to the body, right? Mm-hmm. So when they come in, I'll take a step, I wait for them to come, and then punch with the right. The left kick is often countered by throwing a cross, or even if they don't counter with a cross, they will move forwards. So if as a righty, you throw your left kick, you stay in the left stance, people think now is their time to exploit your gap because you're not in your preferred stance. But what you can do is lure them in, use their momentum forward and exploit it by pulling them even more in and then going with an elbow on top, or by letting them come close, and while you're still in the stance, throw a strike from a position that they're expecting you to be vulnerable in, yeah? So I'm in the left stance, and then as soon as my leg touches the floor and I see them coming forward, I just rip the hook on top. And this is the whole combination at the end. We have the 1-2, we have the right kick. You can see him trying to counter with a hook. I move out of the way, I do a switch kick, and now when he's expecting me to be exposed, that's when I throw the strong hook. Okay, 4 straight ones. That's what he says. And now I already know, okay, it's that time of the round again. This is going to be the tiring part. So you can hear the breathing go up. You can hear me getting into finishing the round strong style. Still going light. Going harder. Now we're adding a kick at the end. Strong kick. Also listen to his feedback. Now it's about pushing. And obviously this is the part where you can leave an expression, yeah? This is where you want to see heart in the fighter. This is where you want to see them really push. Ugh, I love seeing this. I really love seeing this. He says, let's go, Max, 5 more. And at this point, I don't even know if the 5 is supposed to be motivating or not, because 5 of those is really heavy. But obviously, you don't want to show it. Yeah, this is the whole point of pushing height and intensity at the very end of the round. You want to gas out your coachee completely, but they're supposed to stay calm and composed and give the same force output with relaxed breathing. You shouldn't see a huge fall off in terms of power of the strikes across the repetitions. The last one shouldn't be significantly weaker than the second to last or the third last. So I'm staying strong with the punches, finishing with heavy kicks. And a strong push. Let's listen to what he said. Because you can see me walk off. I was catching my breath. Look at my face over here. And he says, good work, Hark. Oh yeah, it's fine, it's alright. Obviously trying to play it very cool, yeah? And the best exercise you can do for your breathing after such a heavy push is right after the round when your body is screaming for air, when your lungs really want to fill up again. That's when you take one deep inhale and you just don't exhale. You keep it there and you let it get uncomfortable for a second or 2 seconds or 3. Just be fine with the sensation in your body craving for it and not giving into it, just for a few seconds. And then arms up, showing we're still strong after such an intense end. And some deep inhales. Physical presence, right? The time is up for a second so it doesn't get too full. Alright guys, so that was 20 minutes of striking with a world champion fighter. And by now you must have gotten a strong impression of the level of understanding that it takes for these guys to surround themselves with you. This of course is pretty high level Muay Thai, but obviously this is not where I started. At the time that clip was recorded, I've already been training Muay Thai for around 3 years. I started off training traditional Muay Thai in Amsterdam after having spent my entire life not giving a flying fuck about martial arts. I always used to think it's very primal, but at some point I ended up being in a Muay Thai gym. It was love at first sight, and in Amsterdam I really committed and I had 1 year of intense training. And then I moved to Berlin for work because I was developing high level leaders for a very known car company over there. And in Berlin, traditional Muay Thai isn't as big, so I dived into MMA, and for half a year I trained MMA over there. And afterwards, when I moved out of Berlin, that's when I started training on my own. And that's when I needed to figure out how can I stay sharp and dangerous to an extent where elite level performers like Zach and Shane want to be around me. And at the same time not neglect my business at all. Because business and work, obviously, it's taking up a huge amount of time and space in my life. But I refuse to become less of a human weapon just because I'm working a lot. It's part of me, and I want to express that no matter how much I work. Figuring out all of that on my own, it was a trial and error process, yeah? It took a lot of time, a lot of learnings, and a lot of effort. Because if you think about it, spending only 3 years in the sport and then training with the best guys that the sport has to offer is quite fast. But right now, I'm in the position where I can say, if I was to show someone else how I did it, they would achieve it significantly faster than me, and without having to go through so much pain and unnecessary detours. So brother, if you want to stay sharp as well and transfer it over into your work to a place where your business benefits from you executing with lethal precision every day, then you can find a link to the exact way I do it down in the video description. And man, now it's time to lock in and get after it.